Helen
Hi.
here, and
And
Robin Bornstein.
hello.
Two kick butt Reiki mistresses. Yes, I like to call us mistresses versus masters because it sounds a little bit more feminine. And
Yes.
we did a couple of weeks ago talk about feminine and masculine energy. And tonight we are going to talk about what's in your soul contract.
Yes, it's a big topic. People like to talk about this, or people, and some people that have never heard of it before. So,
Well,
if you're,
yeah, because one of the things that, if you don't mind, Robin,
oh,
I just created a 17-part class series called First Step to Your Spiritual Journey. And basically what it's about is your awakening process. Now that you feel like there's something more out there, you want to explore who you are, why are you here, how does the world affect you, and the soul. You know, one of the things about souls, which is, as Robin was saying, there's a lot of discussion about the soul. What is it? And how does it fit into our lives? Do you want me to talk a little bit about this, Robin? Or do you want to jump in with any thoughts?
You know what? Keep talking, and I'll jump in with my thoughts. I definitely feel that. I mean, most people do connect on a soul level to their life and their life, their life contract or their life purpose. So, and they also feel very in touch with, if they're practicing a religious practice, then they're feeling connected to their soul. Or even, you could read poetry and feel connected soulfully to that. It's very personal. I think it's also that voice you hear in your head when you're meditating, or you're saying a prayer, or you're connecting with nature, and you're being appreciative of life and who you are.
Yeah, and let's just talk about what is a soul. For those people might be going, yes, I understand and I identify with everything you're saying, Robin. So see, one thing about Robin and I, we bounce back and forth, and not that Robin doesn't have a geeky brain, but I'm one of those geeky people that need to know the foundation of things. So that's why I create classes, 2 courses. So what is a soul? First of all, your soul is made out of spirit and matter. So your spirit is your what you believe in, what do you feel, and matter is what you can touch. So everything is made of energy and matter. You can't have one without the other. So you can't have matter without energy, and energy without matter. And then you put a good, healthy dash of spirit in it. That is part of who you are and how you connect to the universe. And your soul has been created at conception, some people believe, or perhaps it's a soul that's lived from lifetime to lifetime. And you could be on your 5,000 lives. Can you imagine that?
Yes. Yeah, I see a soul as energy. It's your energy, your essence, your energy.
And your soul lives in every aspect of who you are, from what you think, what you do, and what you feel. Your soul is integrated in every component of your being. Ooh, that sounds heavy, Robin. And, one of the things that, as clients come and see us, they want to know how to keep their soul healthy. And a lot of it has to do with your emotions, how mindful you are. Do you get in the rut of bad habits and then you wonder why you're stuck? And so the expression goes, what do you do every day to feed your soul?
What do you do, Helen? What do you do to feed your soul? I know you love to create fun classes, and
courses.
You love to connect with your clients and help them get healthy. But what do you do for yourself, your own self-care to connect with your soul?
My soul is a very creative one. So I'm at the point in my life whereas soul development changes as you go through different phases of your life. So what resonates with you today might not have 10 years ago and may not 20 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Your soul will grow with you.
Yes,
Wow.
it's part of your life journey.
Kind of deep what I just said.
Yeah, it's your life journey. Your soul is here to teach you a life journey, to teach you about life and yourself. Don't you think?
Yes, and that's very true. And so, you know, what feeds my soul right now is, as Robin says, is the creativity. And Robin, what feeds your soul? Because I know your family means a great deal to you.
My family, and I love, you know, like I love helping people, like, and I love participating in groups, and I love networking. So right before this call, I do a monthly support group. And that, you know, just, I love participating and, you know, helping other people or discussing things that are going to maybe help someone else. And so I love feeding my soul with my volunteering, and that's a volunteer thing that I do with that group. But what's
the group that you volunteer for?
It's the Epilepsy Foundation. So I'm connected with that. But over the years, I've volunteered for lots of different organizations. But lately, I've been doing that group, and I just you know, I connect with all of the people that join, and you never know who's going to show up, you know, from meeting to meeting. But I always learn something, and I always connect, and it's definitely a way for me to connect with my soul being and my energy and the way that I like to bring myself to the world.
Yeah. So see, that's the thing that, you know, if you honor your soul. So what, okay, let me just talk. We just talked about what keeps our soul healthy. Let's talk. I'm going to talk a little bit here. And again, this is from my 17-part class, First Step of Your Spiritual Journey. So what causes your soul to be fragmented? And a lot of times it has to do with when you don't live authentically.
Yes.
And you end up doing what, especially if you know you're doing stupid things. Oh, did I say that?
Yes.
When you do stupid things.
We all do stupid things from time to time. It's human nature.
It is, but when you consciously dishonor yourself, you're actually putting holes in your soul or in your aura, your energy field, and that's why it eats away at you.
Yes, that's when you can get emotionally disconnected with who you are, and you can become, you're not learning, or you're not reflecting, and you're not, you know, when you become disconnected, it's like, and that's when also disease, I believe, can set in, when you're not honoring yourself and protecting your energy.
And everybody, if you have a comment, feel free to jump in with your thoughts, because this is how we're building a community of healers. And the more you connect to who you are, this is how we going to expand our energy and become the best versions of ourselves.
Yes, and let's talk, Helen, let's talk about the soul contract or the soul agreement. And that's something a lot of people who are, you know, in touch with their spirituality, they have this understanding that when we are born into this world, we have created a soul contract that we may not even be aware of. Some people become aware of it. Some people are born aware. Talk about that, like what a soul contract is.
More times than not, this is what was explained to me when I was in energy medicine school. Usually a contract is developed between you and the universe. This is lives in between lives. So you passed away, you're being debriefed. You know, what did you learn? That this is what I could just imagine. I'm sitting at the round table and I'm being interviewed and going over what are the highlights of my life and what needed tweaking and what just sucks. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Zoom up there.
It's kind of like a Zoom call. It's like a Zoom call. And so as you're sitting around with the higher beings, they're going over, all right, Helen, you know, you've done this really well. People think that life contract is only about uppity up things where you're constantly happy and joyful, but there's lessons that you have agreed to learn within a lifetime. And some of those lessons could be extremely painful, downright painful, and why people do murder, rape. I don't know why they agree to learn that level of empathy or compassion or humanity, but that's something within your contract. And since you and I have never interviewed anybody who've done something like that, Robin, it's really difficult to tell. So do you know, so if this is what you have agreed to learn in this life, and can you have an easy life? I guess you could have a rest life, which I thought I was going to get in this lifetime, where I was just going to chill and just live my life.
Drink a pina colada. Yeah, exactly.
And then I found out that is not the case. I was meant to do something else within this lifetime. I became a healer. And the reason why I became a healer, and we're going to talk about you, Robin, I had a son that was really sick, and I learned how to care for his health issues through alternative healing. So I took that knowledge and I decided to help other people who might be in the same situation.
And you do an amazing job. You have a waiting list of clients trying to see.
Man. I smile. Go, thank you, thank you, God. I promise I wouldn't complain.
So so your life lesson is about the healer in you,
and
patience, and also empathy. What other lesson do you think? And have you ever been in the middle of a situation and you've stopped and said, "Oh, this is a learning moment for me," or does it take you time to reflect? Could it be a week, a month, a year later that you then go back and say, "Oh, that was a lesson. Like that, I should have recognized that, or I needed to learn this."
I have learned really quickly, and what teaches me is frustration.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Notice what you get. If you think about it, most of us get frustrated over the same things.
Yes. Or you keep repeating the same habit, serving you well. And so that's your lesson that you need to address.
But
and
not everyone.
Not everyone, right? Not everyone.
No, they don't recognize that they're stuck.
Okay. And how do you help your clients when you notice, because you see people usually, they usually will come in and sign up for sessions with you because they're working on a health issue. So they may need to sign up depending on what health issue they're working on, 4 sessions, 6, 12, whatever the reasons. And so you get to know your clients pretty well. And are you able to ever address this type of
yes
with them?
Because the reason why, what I've noticed is every illness has a energetic personality. It's the same personality. I'm going to use the example of somebody with digestive issues. Every single digestive person with usually have problems with they are caregivers. They're people pleasers.
Yes.
They have a tendency to overgive, but they do not know how to receive. So they're also the rescuers. They really want to help. So their boundaries is very limited, I should say, because they feel like, who am I to do, that means the table's going to turn around and take care of me. And this is really key, because the caregiver, that's all teachers, nurses, I'm going to even say Robin.
Or a lot of mothers in general. Yeah, the mother energy.
And they have a tendency to give, but they don't realize how much they give until they crash.
Yes, and that happens to a lot of people, and professional people too, when they're out in the work world, giving, and and they burn out. That's that's called burning out in the professional world. But, when you're maybe a stay-at-home mom, it's called, crashing or having a breakdown or having a meltdown, right? So so I definitely think that's an interesting, so karma, like if we think about karma, how do you work on the relationship with yourself or the relationship with others around you when you're working through your life contract and you notice that you do a certain thing that you need to work on, like being the overgiver or the doer? How do you counsel people, or how do you work on it yourself when you need to turn around and learn to receive? Because that can be difficult for people to be able to allow
Well, one of the things that I think I'm really very gifted at, I like to believe I'm gifted, at least in my mind I'm gifted, is I give people options. So what does that mean? Because most people feel like they're trapped and they don't know what else to do other than the same old, same old. So what happens to the life lessons that we're here to learn, they end up being stagnant and stuck. Because what we don't realize, life lessons come, as you said earlier, it comes from every place and everything. Everyone contributes to our soul's growth. So in other words, even though you can't pick your family, but you can be the one that expand the energy of your family if you're willing to take that role.
And how would you suggest someone do that? Like if say a family dynamic needed help and there was one person who was aware, not everybody's aware that maybe there's a situation that needs help or some TLC. How does a family go about working on their soul contract? If there's one person in the family who's aware, how can they push through?
This is the hard part.
Is it possible, or do you just have to work on yourself? I believe that you just need to work on yourself versus.
Yes, you can do that, because what happens a lot of times when you work on your own energy, eventually you will start to broadcast a new level of energy. And then all of a sudden people in your family said something is different. The energy in the house feels different to me. All this energy is coming through the aura.
Yes.
This is your personal energy field. And again, they don't know exactly what it is, but they just know something is different. Like Robin, this is an example I give. Let's say you live with your family, you have a partner, spouse. That partner, spouse comes home. He or she doesn't say a word, but he or she is in a bad mood.
Yeah, they had a bad day.
Bad day. They're not saying a word. They could say hello, but there's something in that hello you could pick up immediately. And that's exactly what you're doing. The energy has shifted into a level of negativity that if you're really energetically sensitive, you could actually feel negativity.
Yes, and I'm really good at picking up that. And I've taught my family about this. And it's funny. I was, trying to teach my family about all of these different, energies and how we can read people and understand empathetically where someone's coming from. Like that example you just gave, Helen, about someone coming home and feeling their mood, because even if they don't say hello, you can pick up their energy. Well, one day my husband came home and he walked in the room and he goes, oh, you're in a bad mood. He could just feel it. And I'm like, see, it took me years to get you to pick that up, but he's come a long way.
So let's say you're an old soul that have lived very many lives. And you, in your soul family, because we do have soul family, and again, soul family does not necessarily mean your actual biological family. It could be friends. Like Robin and I feel like we're part of a soul family because we just get along so well. We don't have a lot of discussions about we don't fight. That's basically
we have a nice relationship. It's lovely.
Yeah, so our relationship is very harmonious, and we again, I feel the same way about my husband. We have very little conversation. We just understand. We talk without saying a word.
Yes. And that's definitely a soul level connection, being able to be with someone, and that's such a gift.
And then as you mentioned earlier, so what happens when you have troubled relationships, you don't get along with family members or friends, chances are very good that the relationship is comprised of young souls. So it's believed we live 10,000 lives.
Mm-hmm.
First 3,300 lives is about your infancy, and then your middle 33 is your mature soul. Like Rob and I are part of the mature soul. And how do you know you're in the mature? Okay, when you're a young soul, you just can't get your act together. You're behind in everything. You're going along, but yet you can't keep anything together. Constant meltdown, things don't work out, so forth. Middle souls, mature souls like Rob and I, we kind of get it. We still get stuck. We know why we get stuck, but we're working towards old souls. Whereas I love the old souls with little kids, because you say, oh my God, how old are you? You can't be
so wise.
Yeah, you're so wise. Because of that innocence, they're not shaped by society, as they haven't been domesticated yet.
Yes.
So
I love that when you meet a small child who's just so wise, and you can just see it in their eyes, or you have a little conversation, and
I love it.
Yeah, it's just yeah,
I'm in all of those children. They're just kick butt. And then, as you mentioned, karmic relationships. Karmic relationships, more time than not, you probably have gone through life after life, but you did not fulfill the soul contract that you have with each other. So it's basically unfinished business.
Okay. Like give an example of what could possibly happen in your current life that would be unfinished business.
My mother. And she's just passed away last year. So it's really unfinished. Great. Yeah, it's really unfinished, and we'll probably come back again in some combination lifetime, not necessarily in the same role. And we'll be like, oh God, you again? Didn't I see you in the last 10 lives?
So what do you think about the people who, like, and we all know them, you see people going about their life and they're progressing in a positive way, either their personal relationships or professional relationships or their self-care. And then all of a sudden, they're moving along and they're doing great. And then it's like 2 steps back. They slip back. What does that say about us? Like, how does someone work through their soul contract when they keep slipping backwards? Like, how are they to move forward?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because we see this, we probably see it in ourselves. We see struggling with how they're journeying through life, and how do you teach people, or how do people recognize, oh, I'm slipping, I need to
see, that's the first step right there. I'm slipping.
Okay.
And then, are you willing to make a change? See, that's the hard part. People habituary, is that the right one? Where your habits,
your bad habits, yeah.
Your habits keeps you from growing, because there's such comfort, I'm going to say it, in misery, whereas you're being challenged to that next level, and all of a sudden you have to work.
Okay, yeah. Because it's interesting. I mean, I know I've done it myself, but I've also watched others do it, and you sometimes you just like, oh, didn't they just make that mistake, or didn't they just do, isn't this the same pattern, and how come they're not learning? So
that's why you do 10,000 lives, Robin.
But it's so, sometimes it's just so obvious to myself when I'm having those issues, but so obvious when I see it around me. And are we supposed to say something? I don't think so. I think we're just supposed to observe, unless someone's endangering themselves or they're really making a big, huge mistake, then you speak up, right?
Well, see, because you're much kinder than I am, I would probably make a joke out of it first, and if I could get someone to laugh and realize what they're doing.
Yes, laughing is very important, and being able to laugh at yourself is very
Oh
important.
yeah, it's very important. So, because I also have this attitude, I'm not 100% right, because
Right.
we only know our world, people's world, through our eyes,
Yes. And our experiences, yes.
and our experiences. So it's learning to be flexible in the scheme of things.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense, because there are, 10,000 lives, 10,000 ways of looking at different things, right?
Oh, yeah. And unfortunately, you're not going to have the majority of people agree with you. So, this is the thing about, difficult, painful life lessons. Let's say, even past lives moments, as you was just saying, you're thinking to yourself, did I already have this lesson? And then what I noticed too, if you have a painful lesson, you're ready for the next little step of that painful lesson. So you just learned one tiny aspect of your soul contract. Now the universe says, are you ready to expand that skill and make it a little bit broader? And you go, yeah. And I go, man, this again? Oh no, yeah. The lesson's even harder this time.
Right. That's when you thought you were on easy street, right?
Yeah, I thought I was done. And then all of a sudden it's like the next level comes up.
Yes. And that's part of our life journey. And so I have a question for you, because I've listened to different healers and different, people who've discussed this. And there's a theory, or some people believe, that when you do pass on or pass over, I like to say pass over, you can choose not to reincarnate.
You could choose, or you could rest. I always, but this is just a philosophy or a thought. If you choose not to learn everything that you are meant to learn, so you're going to stay a relatively, let's say, a young soul. You'll be stuck in a category for a really long time.
Okay.
So let's say you decide life is too hard. Like people, okay, here's a thought, Robin. People who commit suicide, and they say, I've had enough. And they go to rest. And then if during the brief, the briefing period, what did you learn? What do you still want to learn? And let's face it, life lessons are not easy. There's a lot of joy, but there's also a lot of heartaches.
Yes. And so, and it can be difficult. Yeah. So I've listened to other people, and I've heard so many different views on life contracts and reincarnation, and it can make your head spin. Like there's so many different, I mean, I want to say there's a pattern to all of them, and there's a they all connect. So
I guess
but it's interesting. I could study it. It's just so interesting.
It is. And what it is too, there's no wrong way.
Yes, there's no wrong way.
That's really important to understand. There's no wrong way of doing anything. You've got to do things that honors your soul, whatever that means to you. And I pray you do it so it doesn't harm anybody else. You just have to decide what's right for you.
Exactly. Now, a question, like once we're here, we're born into this lifetime and we have a soul contract, can you change the contract halfway through or add an addendum?
I think you can add addendum, but you have your general contract where hopefully you'll make most of the bullet points.
Right.
And if you don't make it in this lifetime, well, guess what? The next lifetime is only around the corner.
Yeah. And so, it's so interesting. I could talk about this for hours, and I don't know if anyone's on here listening, but does anyone have any questions? And also, have you ever gone to anyone and worked or discussed your life contract with people who do that kind of work, where they help you understand more of your soul being and why you're here? Have you ever worked with anyone?
I the 3 years of energy medicine school has taught me a lot of things because it's not only just healing work, but it's a lot of it is self-process work.
Mm,
This is what I tell clients who come to me at the healing place. Whatever you struggle the most is really your life contract. And some of us
mm,
try to fight it, ignore it,
mhm.
or don't own it. And then all of a sudden they're like constantly, again, repeat it, just like what's that movie with uh Bill Murray? Where he,
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
I love that movie.
I finally saw the Groundhog Day during the pandemic, the whole thing. I've always seen bits and pieces, and I'm like, crap, dude, aren't you tired of repeating the same day over and over again?
And,
All right. So
mhm.
you know what I think most people know what they're repeating, and if they can't get out of their own way, they're really stuck.
Yes, and it's so funny. Helen and I have talked about it. We know what my issues are.
Well, we all know what our issues are.
Yeah, most of us know what our issues are, and it's really wonderful when you can actually take a step and watch yourself move on, like to work through something that you have difficulty with and move on. And like Helen said earlier, then the next thing comes and it's fun. And you have to look at it as, wow, look at this. A new struggle, a new thing to overcome and and play with it.
Now, one of the things that I would love to talk about next week when we meet is spiritual self ownership. Spirit,
Okay.
your ownership of who you are and your being in this lifetime. You know what is your responsibility of fulfilling your life contract?
Mm,
All right, and just these are just thoughts that we love to give people idea to think about.
mm.
But most importantly, I want you to know you have choices.
Yes. And in your class, don't you have like you help people through this process in like in a working, almost like a journaling,
It's
so
journaling, and
that people can
what I
work on
would
this.
love
Yeah.
to do, I would love to even teach this in person.
Mm.
I should
After
say in person
the
or
pandemic.
live streaming. I would love to teach this because there's so much to learn, and people are such. When I taught this live, people really got a kick because we do a lot of hands-on healing work, plus feeling energy, understanding energy, and that's what I do with this course. I give you exercises to develop your intuition.
Yes. So if people are interested in taking this class, or would you create, I mean, would you do it live like this, or would you do it over Zoom where it's not
Well,
live?
it will be a pay class because
Okay.
I'm talking, that course, even though you go 17 parts, but it took me 3 months every single day of development. And this
Yes,
is,
I remember you had your head down. You
oh
were,
yeah, I had my head down. This
yeah,
is,
you were working busily. Yes.
well, it's 16 years of class, of education, what I've
Mhm.
learned from people and actually seeing and observing. So, everyone is capable of this work. This is really important that
Yes,
I,
everyone is capable of doing.
everyone. No one's exempt from this club. It's just a matter of do you wake and follow through with the awakening process today? There's always the next lifetime. There's no wrong way of doing this work.
Yes, there is no wrong way. And you can even do this work, if you're busy now, raising, going to school, raising a family, this is something you can look forward to in retirement. You can have fun taking these courses at that time of your life.
I know, and
Mm,
one of the things that I love the fact that once you purchase courses from the Healing Place Energy School, it's yours forever. You could go
mm,
back and refer to it over and over again. And what I would love to do is just keep adding classes to what there is, but there's so much I want to develop, and there's only so many hours in a day. So
yes.
I'm doing the very best I can.
Yeah. And if anyone is on here and they're listening and if they're ever curious, about a certain subject and they don't see the class on the Healing Place Energy School, then reach out to Helen, and Helen will
Yeah, just put it in the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think today, Ramos, is we really talked
Oh,
about this. It's already time. Maybe what we'll do, can we do meditation next week? I hope people don't mind.
Yeah, we'll do meditation next week. And if people are interested in meditation, oh my goodness, we have weeks and weeks and weeks of meditation.
God.
You can go on to the YouTube channel and go back and listen to. And if you don't want to listen to our chat, I think usually the meditation starts 15 minutes, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes in, so you can just, move the bar forward if you just want the meditation. Yeah, but it's there. But listen to us. We have fun, and we talk about stuff.
And I like to think that we're pretty knowledgeable too. So,
I think eventually we'll have a meditation class, and you guys will join us live just for the meditation.
So, if this is okay with you, so next week's subject, we're going to talk about spiritual self-ownership, because that's a question people go, what the heck does that mean? It's really owning your powers. That's what it basically means. So, and we're going to come back to it in part of the 17-part class series, First Step to Your Spiritual Journey. But in the meantime, please share, please subscribe to our channel. I guess it's the box is somewhere up here. Subscribe, share, tell people about us. Let's build a community of healers, and let's be the very best versions of us.
Yes, and reach out. You can always email us or call us, and we will get back to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And Helen, I'll see you Thursday.
I'll see you Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.